I'm very pleased to say that joining us now to discuss this is Rob Macaire, who's served as the UK's ambassador to Iran, in addition to a number of other roles within the Foreign Office. Great to have you here.
Thanks.
So how important is it, if you're a British national, to leave Lebanon now?
I think the messaging couldn't be clearer that people need to leave now. And I think, having seen some of these evacuations in the past, I think that people need to remember that, you know, if you're evacuated from your home in the UK because of some disaster, then all of the environment, all the blue light services and everything's all under control of the authorities. But if the government's trying to get you out or trying to do an evacuation in a foreign country, none of that is under the control of the government. And even with the most professional, best planned operation, it will be messy, it will be confusing, it'll be frightening, and people shouldn't be relying on an evacuation if it gets to that.
That's interesting. And you say that people can't rely on the evacuation. Is that because it could be very difficult, I guess, to get people out in the future?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, in a crisis, the Foreign Office, the military, the other agencies across government will throw themselves into doing what they can to help the British people out there. And that means, obviously, because there aren't a lot of people on standby doing this, you have to scale up quickly, work across government, have the right training in place, have the right plans in place and exercise them. And fortunately, the Foreign Office does have a fantastic team who've done all of that, because I know I used to work there. But it would be a mistake to think that it can go like clockwork, because these things can't.
Yeah, you talk about your own experience handling this, because, of course, you were the Director of Consular Services at the Foreign Office, I think, just after the 2006 evacuation of Lebanon.
Yes.
Were there sort of lessons that you'd learned there that, you know, are relevant here?
Yeah, I think there were lessons from all of these incidents that happened, and that was a classic one. I think there were more people to evacuate than were expected at the time. So now there's an effective, obviously technology allows a more effective registration process now, which is activated on the Foreign Office website. But lessons about how to communicate with people, how to get those messages out to people to leave under their own steam while they can. And although it's getting more difficult to leave Lebanon, clearly there's a reason why ministers and the Prime Minister are saying, you know, get out now.
Yeah. If there's a commercial flight, get on it, basically.
Yeah, or a ship or a land route or whatever it is you think is safe, yeah.
700 troops sent to Cyprus. What's that about? What's going on there?
I mean, I think you're seeing what the military do, what they do so well, which is to prepare for all contingencies. And, you know, there's clearly a potential need to have support to some sort of evacuation operation. I don't think it in any way implies that a decision's been taken. As I say, I'm no longer in the system, so I don't know. But I think that, you know, we're not at that stage. But the military are really good about making sure they've got the resources in place to do what they need to do. Yeah. It's still not a lot in terms of evacuating thousands of people.
Yeah, but it is still something, like you say. So you're obviously the former ambassador to Iran. Can you just kind of talk us through the relationship between Iran and Hezbollah? Because not everyone's going to be, I guess, as up to speed on it as you clearly are.
Well, Lebanese Hezbollah is the longest standing of Iran's regional partners, and it's obviously a Shia group, so it's closely linked through the religious community links. But it's been there and has been built up and promoted by Iran since the early days of the revolution, so over the last 40 years. And it is a highly capable group. It's more than just a terrorist group. It's a political party. It's a major part of the fabric of Lebanon, not necessarily a constructive part of that political entity. But it has, you know, stronghold in the south, and its mission is anti-Israel, supported with money, with weaponry, with training and ideology by Iran at every step of the way.
I mean, you're very clear there on, I guess, the kind of closeness of the relationship between Iran and Hezbollah. We're seeing Israel striking against Hezbollah in quite audacious ways at times with, you know, the pager explosions. How worried are you that at some point Iran's going to come in?
I think the sort of the hard line between war and peace that we talk about isn't really there anymore, is it? I mean, there is a conflict going on between Israel and Iran. It's happening through proxies. It's happening in other theatres. It's happened directly through missile exchanges.
So it's already
back in
happening
April.
In a sense. Is what you're saying.
Yeah. So what does a full-blown war actually mean? They don't have a land border. They're not. The two armies aren't going to clash, and Iran wouldn't do that anyway because it would come off worse. So. What is incredibly worrying is this escalation with Hezbollah has got a long way to go and could go a lot further. And that's why there's so much diplomacy going on. And, of course, this week with everyone in New York, there was an opportunity for a lot of diplomatic effort to try to get the sides to de-escalate and to prevent the worst sort of regional crisis developing.
How unusual is it? Are you talking about the kind of, I guess, the long-standing kind of tussle between these two powers? Is what we're seeing considerably more dangerous, more concerning than that sort of everyday sort of tussle that you're talking about?
Absolutely. I mean, this is the worst it's been. In terms
worst it's been ever? Or?
Well, it's the worst it's been in terms of the extent of the conflict between Iran and Israel. So, of course, Israel's invaded Lebanon before and had major, very destructive war against Hezbollah, and that's gone blown hot and cold, as have other conflicts. But across a number of fronts now, this conflict has really ramped up, and I think that it's not necessarily to Iran's advantage. People are very worried about what Iran can do in the region, but I guess if you're a decision maker in Tehran, you're probably a bit scared about what the situation is bringing.
That's very interesting, and thank you very much for being on the programme and talking us through the evacuation and also, of course, potential. I shouldn't say evacuation. The potential getting people out of Lebanon and also the wider issues in the region as well. Thank you.